Hi, this video is to show getting a partial row at the bottom of your quilt with no jump stitches when you're using 4-point placement. When you're using center placement, you have those partial diamonds to get that partial row. So this is a way to get the same result when you are using 4-point placement. The same principle would work with center placement, but of course the diamonds makes it a lot easier. So what we have here is the design that is going to be used in this example, and we're going to say, for the sake of example, that this is the second to last zone. We're down at the bottom, and of course with beginnings, every zone is zone 1. So you would finish this zone like you have all of the ones above. At this point, this has been sewed and the bobbin has been pulled, so we're going to tap on finished, and we're going to mark this this spot there in that lower left corner, which is the spot for the next zone. But since this is a nested design, we're measuring up, just like you have been for all the prior zones, the amount that the lower row nests up into the row above it. Whatever that amount is, you're measuring up. And let's see, we'll go ahead and tap on continue. So once you get that adjusted spot, then what you're going to do is you're going to measure from that adjusted spot down below the edge of the quilt top to where you would want the lowest stitches to hit. And whatever that amount is, I would say round up to the nearest ½ inch if you can. That will make it easier. So at this point, now that we've measured, and for the sake of example, we're going to say 5½ inches. For this design, this entire total height is 9 inches. So we're just going to say we need 5½ inches of it to stitch out. And when you're doing this, like this has a pretty good little gap there, so you're going to want to make sure that there's no gap along the lower edge of your quilt. So make sure of that. So we're going to tap on the X and go back to the Panto Stacker screen. We do want our grid lines to show. We're going to tap on Options, and under Panto Stacker, Show Grid is checked. So we say OK. And now we're going to tap on the screen, and now we get our grid lines. We're going to tap on All so that they're all selected and they're dark blue. At this point, we need to move this down so that we get our 5½ inches. So when we tap on Move, we see that the up and down arrows are grayed out, so they're inactive. In order to make them active, we need to tap on Fit so it's in the top selection. That didn't change anything. And make sure that this single star is not selected. That allows vertical wrapping, and we don't want that. So we will also change that step to small, and you can leave that step whatever size you wanted. So we are needing to see 3½ inches, and so now we have 1, 2, 3½, and I know that this is a half because when you have an odd number in your total height, QCT takes half of the of that odd number, you might say. So you have 8 full blocks here, and so for the 9, it puts a ½ inch up here and a ½ inch down here. If there were a decimal like 9.5, then it would take half of 1.5 and put here and put here. You would have 3/4 of an inch. So that's just something to be aware of with the grid lines. So at this point, we have 3½ inches that are blank, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5½, which is what we need to stitch. So now we're going to say Sew in Zones. We're going to say no here for this one. Go ahead and optimize, remove all, no. And now you see that you have the straight line stitch across the bottom, so tap on OK. And so now you're going to go to the place where you had marked the adjusted spot up that you had been doing all along. You had taken that lower left corner that QCT had given you for the next zone, and then you had measured up from that whatever the amount of nesting was. And at this point, you're going to do one more measurement. That 3.5 inches that were blank, you're now, from this adjusted spot, going to move up 3.5 inches. And you're going to move your needle over that spot and then tap on A. QCT still considers this your full zone, so that's why you're measuring up from that adjusted spot. So all of this area is literally over area that has already been stitched. So it'll seem a little strange making that placement further up into where you've already quilted, but that accounts for all of this blank area. You may want to do a trace and just make sure that this is nesting into the row above it like you want it to. If you need to tweak it a little bit, maybe move it up a little bit, move it down a little bit, then you'll tap on the X, go back into Panto Stacker, and do that moving that you need to do, and then come back in this screen and repeat the process. You'll have to replace your zone, and you'll be looking at what is that blank area, because you'll need to measure that again from whatever your adjusted spot was. You'll need to measure that up again and tap on the lock width, and that will make sure that whatever width you have is going to exactly stitch. Or if you've had that unchecked so that you could manually place it, certainly you can do that. So now you are ready to pull bobbin and sew. So hope you found this video helpful.